was like upload a copy of your driver's license, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to the Supreme Court to decide if that's constitutional or
Right.
not, and because it's an infringement, of rights.
Right.
But that is kind of opening the door for people to decide what
What is
qualifies
pornographic.
as pornographic.
Yeah, because that was kind of like the big thing with obscene when it came to like drag queens and that sort of thing. It was this idea of determining what is obscene and what is not. And my understanding and hearing you talk in the past, it's like just by being visibly queer or trans, that's porn in some form or fashion. And so if that was considered porn or obscene, then that would kind of begin to eliminate our visibility in public spaces.
Yeah, it's in Project 2025, that mess of a document, that they, they're not shy about equating being trans with being inherently pornographic.
Right.
So if they are able to set legal precedent with the Supreme Court for what is considered pornography,
right.
and then they deem trans people
Which
as
isn't even sexuality, it's gender.
Exactly.
Like, but people, I know they don't understand that there's a difference.
But if they do that, this could censor not only trans people, but just other people in the queer community, because their very existence will be deemed pornographic, even if like the content that they share isn't explicit in any way.
Right. Well, and you might not even have to be gay or lesbian or trans, but if you're perceived to be, then that would be considered obscene.
Exactly.
Which I think is something more and more people are starting to realize, because gender nonconformity isn't only just left to those who say I'm gender nonconforming or I'm non-binary. Right. There are a lot of cisgendered men and women who, by all intents and purposes, you would see them and say, oh, that's a non-binary person. I think they use they, them pronouns, but they don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it'll be interesting. Well, not interesting, but I don't think people, it just seems like it's such a huge pool. And it would really begin to censor what people look like in the public.
Exactly.
In a very rigid way for all people.
Yeah. I mean, I know that was a big concern last year and the last couple years, especially here in Idaho, when they were going after drag. And I think that, that was inherently a very transphobic thing. They were going for trans people and just calling it that. But again, it was kind of a distraction, because they had this thing that had some keywords that people were like, oh, they're going to ban drag, and they were keeping all of our attention with this, and then while we were focused on that, they slid some anti-trans legislation through. And I think that is going to be happening again this year, most likely, is banning drag and things like that, which is going to, like you said, bleed into not only like drag performances, but everyday life.
Yeah.
This is a person that is wearing the opposite gender's clothing,
right?
And that is pornographic, and that is illegal. It's just this. It's fucking unbelievable.
Yeah.
But it's something that we aren't just imagining anymore. Like, people can't say, "Oh, you're overreacting." We're not overreacting. This is happening right now. Like these were the first motions in the legislation in Idaho for 2025. It's just the first two. I mean, there's no question that we're under attack.
Right.